Shalom. So we're in the fourth and probably final part of this series looking at sacred places in the home. And we identified that sacred places are places of potential for wonderful things to happen, potential for dangerous things to happen. And those places of potential are marked by rituals. And I think the same is true of the bed. If we think of associations with the bed, we have there's potential for negative things to happen. There's death and sickness. Hospital beds are part of those associations, as well as place of rest, a place of intimacy, a place of privacy, a place of being alone and genuine and open. And we'll see all of that in our sources. And again, this place is marked by certain rituals. And I think our entry point into understanding Jewish sources on bed, on the place of the bed, I think we can start with a verse from Psalms, from Psalm number 6, which is a beautiful psalm of lots and lots of pain and anguish, and it's traditionally ascribed to King David, who calls out to God and says, God, rescue me, deliver me, as befits your faithfulness. And then he describes his situation. Yagati b'anchati asche b'chol layla mitati b'dim'ati arsi amse. I'm weary with groaning. Every night I asche my bed. I melt my couch in tears. And it's a unclear word there. Asche my bed. What does that exactly mean? And I found 3 different explanations of this verse that really touch on 3 different aspects of the bed, of the place of the bed in our life. The first is the commentary of Radak, Rabbi David Kimchi, a medieval Spanish commentator, I think, who understands it from the word lischot, to swim. I swim in my bed every night. What does that mean? Every night I make my bed swim, I melt my couch with my tears. For I groan and am anxious, he says, on account of my sickness, and weep until I make my bed swim every night, because at night, the sickness is grievous, and a man laments and weeps on account of his sickness. And he weeps at night because the household is asleep, and no one sees him, and he is weary with groaning and with weeping. And what I found really special about this commentary is that he really identifies the bed as the place where someone can cry. You can't cry in the day because people see him. So where does King David cry? Where do we all cry? I don't know, maybe I'm only talking for myself. Where do you go to cry? You go to bed. You curl up in bed and cry. And the bed is a place, again, of vulnerability, but also of safety, of a place where you can really open up to your genuine emotions. Another angle is from Rabbi Nachman. Rabbi Nachman talks about having a special place in the house. Okay, the best is to have a room dedicated for prayer. In your house, you should have a room dedicated for prayer. And he says that's wonderful. Even if you just go into that room that you've dedicated to prayer, that's wonderful just in itself. But then he talks about people who don't have a room for prayer. What do you do if you don't have a room for prayer? He says, even if you do not have a special room, you can still seclude yourself and converse with God. Rabbi Rabbi Nachman also said you can create your own special room under your talit. By wrapping this robe over your eyes, you can converse with God as you desire. You can also seclude yourself with God in bed under the covers. This was the custom of King David. As it is written, each night I converse from my bed. You can also converse with God while sitting before an open book. Let others think that you are studying. There are many other ways to accomplish this if you truly want to. And so what does he understand that King David was doing? He was hiding under his covers and praying to God. Right? He created his special room. His special room is in the bed. And what can you do in that special room? You can pray, because again, it's a place of opening up. It's a place where you can be yourself. That's the power of the bed. Now, a lot has been said and written about Jewish attitudes to sex and the place and the holiness of sexuality in Judaism. I'm not going to go into it so much here, except to link that to the place of the bed itself. Right? Why is sex often linked to the bed? Maybe it's because of those exact same things. A place of vulnerability, of opening up, of genuineness, right? The same aspects that allow for crying and allow for prayer allow for loving. And that's another explanation of this same verse from Psalms. What was King David doing in his bed? So we have in the Talmud, in the Tractate of Sanhedrin, Rav says, even during the time of his illness, King David fulfilled the mitzvah of sexual satisfaction for his 18 wives. As it is stated, I'm weary with my groaning every night. I speak in bed, and they take that as a euphemism for sexual relations. So, all these different aspects kind of link into each other, creating this place, this very special place, right? The special room that Rabbi Nachman is talking about is the bed. Now, we said sacred places are often linked to danger, okay? And that's also true of the bed. Because what do you do in bed, right? Apart from praying and crying, maybe the most obvious answer is sleeping. Right? You go to sleep in bed. But when you go to sleep, who knows if you're going to wake up? And that's the source of a famous, I think, statement in the Talmud. Sleep is 1/60th of death, and dreams are 1/60th of prophecy. Sleep is 1/60th of death. If you want to know what it's like to die, go to sleep every night, right? And sleep is this wonderful, crazy thing, right? Sleep is one of the only things we do which isn't an action. Everything else you do when you speak, you sneeze, you scratch your head, you think. Everything else is an action of your body. But sleep doesn't feel like an action. It's something that almost comes on you from the outside. And in our tradition, there's a blessing which is said before going to sleep. It should be said as soon as possible to going to sleep. And the blessing reads like this. Baruch atah, blessed are you, God, King of the universe, who causes the bands of sleep to fall upon my eyes and gives light to the pupil of my eye. May it be your will, Lord my God, to deliver me from the evil inclination and from anything bad that will happen. Let not evil dreams nor evil imaginations trouble me. May my rest be perfect before you. Cause me to rise from this sleep to life and to peace, and lighten my eyes, lest I sleep the sleep of death. Blessed are you, God, who gives light to the whole world in thy glory. And there's really a lot there. And this is one of the most beautiful blessings we have. But it acknowledges, why is there a blessing? Because we're acknowledging what might happen. What might happen? There's evil inclination that happens when we lose control of ourselves in bed. And the vulnerability, again, we open up, but we don't know what's going to come out of those submerged places in our psyche, where the evil dreams. It's like, you know what you're, this is a thought of the Pizetzner Rabbi Kalonimus Kalman Shapira. He says, you know what your heart is going to do tomorrow if it continues to function. It'll do the same as it did today. You know what your liver is going to do tomorrow. It'll do the same as it did today. But you don't know what your mind is going to do tomorrow. When you go to sleep, you don't know what you're going to dream about. You don't know what you'll dream about tonight. And that's scary. That's fascinating and scary. And that's why there's a ritual. Okay, so in this blessing, ask God, let not evil dreams nor evil imagination trouble me, and cause me to rise from this sleep to life. Because I'm going to sleep, and I don't know if I'll wake up in the morning. And that anxiety is the flip side of all the wonderful things that can happen when we go to this safe space, to this special place where we can be the most ourselves, where we don't have to hide anything. If you look in the source sheet, there's lots more sources on all of these, on dreaming, on death, on sex, on prayer, and I encourage you to do that. Otherwise, I hope I gave you some food for thought, and good night.